at coalitionradionetwork.com, facebook.com, Facebook.com/The Coalition Radio, on the Mighty Twitter at Coalition_radio, and of course the mothership at coalitionradio.us. Just going to take a moment here, and we are going to go live on Talk Radio. Super producer Joel has just done the switcheroo. Folks, if you're just listening to our session with Vermin Supreme, we thank you for that. If you've got some calls or comments on that and you want to talk about Vermin as a candidate, pro, con, somewhere in the middle. What do you think the proper role of satire in politics is? Is it something that we should be advocating as a political party, or does it represent, if you will, as some would argue, the diminishment of our reputation? Personally, I think it's got a huge role. I am, in my DNA, a political activist. All right? A political activist, if you will. And political activism is rooted in issues. It's rooted in emotion. It's rooted in humor. It's rooted in some pretty brutal satire. All of those are necessary ingredients, if you will, to be successful in attacking that which is you want to attack. So ultimately, what is the solution there? How do we approach these issues? Give us a call and let us know what you think. Does satire have a place here in American politics? How important is it? Again, just jiggering the stuff. 401-205-3738. We begin our rather quixotic attempts to get libertarians to engage in talk radio. Oh my. Vermin, George, in an interview, talked about restorative justice. If you're aware of any examples of that and want to talk about restorative justice, that's fine. His movie, by the way, is fabulous. I saw it during a meeting with the Massachusetts Libertarians, who, by the way, if you're in Massachusetts, just over the border from Rhode Island, come join us. But if you're into Massachusetts, we have better parties. Just kidding, kind of. Feel free to join them. If you're not libertarian at all and you have questions, you can ask them, call them. If you find us offensive, feel free to call us and challenge us. See, unlike most political groups, we welcome debate. We live for it. You make us happy when you call. So if that's, if you loathe us, I want to know why. What have we done? Because there are people out there who see us as just terrible. Terrible. So ultimately, what is your take? The much rumored entry of Justin Amash into the Libertarian race is still hanging over us like a pall. Does it offend you that he's getting into the race so late, when libertarian activists have been out there working for candidates, some candidates themselves, who have been at this now for 6 months or a year? Now, of course, one of the questions involved is whether or not Justin Amash will become an announced libertarian and serve in what remains for this congressional session as a libertarian. That's what people want to know. How much more valuable would this have been a year ago when he left the Republican Party? Where was that calculation then? I'm going to not share my beliefs on this because they're still in the formative stages. Frankly, I'm not happy at the late entree. I think there are folks in the libertarian movement who've been running for the presidency who've earned the nomination by doing all the hard work. We've had several on over the last week or so. Mr. Hornberger will be joining us next week. We'll announce that. I didn't want to mention that during Berman's show. I try not to talk about the other candidates when those folks are good enough to join us. Because I want for one moment in time, that hour or so that they're on the show with us, to be the star. They've invested the time, the money to be here in terms of travel and time away from family. That's why we're so eager to give the microphone to them, give the video to them, so they have an opportunity to, in one more place, be a candidate. Because it's hard. Imagine working for the last year or so and not having a chance really to do that stretch run. That's got to be brutal. Don't know any other way to put it. If you love being a candidate is the best and worst of all worlds. On one hand, you're probably of the personality type, I hope you are, that you love meeting new people. You love engaging with people. I hope you are, because it's probably not a good fit if you're not. The worst part, of course, is the travel when you're not on. Just double checking. Want to confirm the time that Mr. Hornberger is going to be on. Yes, Monday, 8:30 Eastern Time. Jacob Hornberger for President, will be joining us. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of events that transpire in the libertarian world this weekend. I want to give him as much time as he wants to comment. Got a lot of similar questions for Mr. Hornberger. You know, you take someone like Vermin or Mr. Hornberger, who at least superficially are wildly different personalities, right? But quite frankly, in both cases, the engagement and the commitment to their individual causes, their approaches to their political life both began at very young ages. There's so much of Mr. Hornberger's backstory that I'd like to learn about. The fact that he went from being a Texas, living as a father, as a Texas farmer, to being an attorney and an academic and someone who runs a very successful think tank, who is become a very libertarian. We like to say unapologetically, unabashedly. Just like Vermin is unremittingly, unapologetically, unabashedly an activist. That's why I love the field of candidates we have. We have so many choices, so much diversity in the choice. All of these folks, good people. So we'd love to have you make a call at 401-205-3738 if you just want to talk. Now, of course, if your issues stem to the local, we're happy to talk about what's going on with COVID, the latest flavor of As the Stomach Turns here in Rhode Island. We're happy to have that conversation as well. The impact on the upcoming election has finally made it into the body politic. The Secretary of State has announced, to her credit, that she's forming a task force. I've been asked to be on that task force. And we certainly will, because of all the issues surrounding the November election. Now, it is my understanding, and I'll ask them to correct me if I'm wrong, that task force will start to meet after the primary date. And I guess I get that. I'm not as hung up on that. I think the solution is going to be very straightforward. There's also an element of what involved in the discussion of the election as to what condition we're actually in as a nation by then. There is the perception that, at least in some parts of the country, the disease is lifting. Although, in watching the mainstream news last night, we were presented with the notion that while rates are starting to spike in the down south, they're also engaging simultaneously in reopening the economy. I love that, reopening the economy. The arrogance there that somehow the government is going to reopen the economy. No, the government will take its heel off the neck of American entrepreneurs and will allow them to go back into business. Now, I'm torn by the timing of all this. I simply want more facts about the disease. I realize some of them are as yet unknown, but the cynic in me suspects that the government knows more about it. So we're going to hang on the lines for a while and see what anyone's interested in talking about. COVID. See generally what people's reactions are. I think we got to a lot of stuff in Vermin's case that he hasn't talked about as much. There are some efforts out there that have very nobly covered the news and the issues. We don't need to rehash them. That's why I wanted to really have a conversation with him about what he finds important as far as the issues. What was the process for him to become Vermin? Under what fire was Vermin Supreme forged? Really, like I said, just getting a handle on who is Vermin Supreme. So if you'd like to call in at 401-205-3738. 401-205-3738. Again, the lines are open. And yes, we're a couple weeks into trying to start a nighttime talk radio show from scratch without the establishment of an individual radio station or a nationwide signal. Yep, that's us. In the middle of a pandemic. 401-205-3738. Let us know what you're thinking. Give us your take on this crisis. How is your community reacting to it? Do you live in a state, by the way, it being the internet, and folks in the libertarian movement being literally living everywhere, as well as folks who just may stumble upon this, folks who are my Facebook friends from the Liberty Movement, from just about any movement. You see this through the miracle of, as I like to say, the miracle of IP addresses. And you just make a call. It won't hurt, I promise, unless you wanted to. We're going to have some announcements coming up. We've got a show Friday night. We're going to have a half hour with the candidates on Friday night. We'll be publicizing that tomorrow as to who's going to be on and all that good stuff. If you're a candidate, by the way, for the Libertarian Movement and you'd like to join us, just reach out to us at the Coalition. Email me at pford@coalitionradio.us. Yeah, give us a holler. Or through the Facebook. I'm friends with thousands of you. That, of course, is broadcast. We share it here, but that is broadcast ultimately on something called LPTV. We have a Facebook page as well. We'd love to have you like us. If you hear this tonight and you'd like to listen to more and you'd like to find out what we've got coming on, just if you could like our page, that's the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing. Liking the Facebook page, facebook.com/The Coalition Radio, extends our reach by one person at a time. And that's the most important thing to us right now, is being able to reach out. In the words of Jack Black, I felt like I reached out and touched your children. Oh, man. Love movies. There's some great lines in the movie. I'll even open it up to some of the more lighthearted stuff in the spirit of tonight's earlier show. If you got a favorite movie or a line from a favorite movie that sums up that you refer to all the time, let us know. 401-205-3738. People are starting to come on the line. You can watch this show in several places. The easiest for most is at the Coalition Radio page where we broadcast, but we also broadcast a live stream. We're actually asking people to go there and watch there. CoalitionRadioNetwork.com. One of the great fears out in social media land relative to today's political climate, of course, is at what point in time is access to social media ended by companies like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. How are things ended? And if that happens, of course, that will, and that's been done to quite a few people. I think because of the tenor of our conversation, I don't see that happening to us until at what point in time do we either A, become raucously rebellious, or quite frankly, Facebook or any of them, which, by the way, are private companies. Ultimately, they have the right to determine who gets to be on their sites. It's not fundamental. It's not an abrogation of free speech. It's a bad business move. Sucks. But if they wake up at some point and decide that, you know what? They want no part of us, not anything we can say. Now, on the other hand, if the government takes us down, well, that's a whole other kettle of fish. Government doesn't get to block us on social media. Government doesn't get to exclude us. So, but a way to forestall that, or a way to hedge against the implications of that, of course, is to drive traffic to your website. Which is a little bit more of a challenge, but something we do. So we ask you to go to that site, which is CoalitionRadioNetwork.com. If you could, please. We are going to start delivering additional value to that. We're going to have some contributors being added to that page. I know the page is fairly basic. Nothing exciting. It is very helpful. So if you're out there, and I know there are a handful of you are, and you want to give us a call at 401-205-3738. We'll keep this going for a while. We understand that it's late at night, particularly here on the East Coast. (401-205-3738). Give us a holler. By now, or any minute now, the Vermin interview should be up there on screen. Facebook goes through its little live thing. We are going to be upgrading the website over the next day or two. You're going to see material changes almost right away to get ready for a lot of the new content that's going to gradually start to appear. We've got to rush this to market, if you will, because of the COVID crisis. We realize people might be open to changing some of their listening habits. And we've been successful doing that in terms of the traditional program that we've done. The call-in stuff is obviously a challenge. Getting people to call in to the radio and talk about what's bothering them right now. What ilks them. What's their areas of concern. So, we'd like to know. We'll be landing a little earlier tonight because of some of the upgrades that are going to take place. There's a handful of folks, I say a lot of folks, but a handful in particular, Frank and Joel, who do wonderful work here as we work to build up a network here that will challenge the status quo. (401-205-3738). So we'll stay on the air a little bit. What did you think of Vermin Supreme's interview? Let's see if it's up there on the Facebook. Someone messaged me today that it's expected within 72 hours, Justin Amash will announce his decision. Do you think his entrance into the Libertarian candidacy is imminent? Meanwhile, Joe Biden, crazy Uncle Joe. He's actually doing daily talks. If you've seen one of these, I wonder what you're thinking. Are they staged as I believe they are? He almost looks propped up. It's tough. You don't want to be ageist, but I got to tell you, not a good look. Particularly when there's no back and forth. There's no engagement. Now, if you were to engage the audience like we do here, that might be a pretty different story. But he's not. So. Again, Jacob Hornberger joining us next week, Monday night. An hour with the candidates Friday night. if you're a Libertarian candidate or if you're a candidate for office in general. We have progressive Democrats on. We'll even have the occasional Republican. So I think we're going to call it a night. It's quiet here. Folks, if you could take a moment. Reach out to us on Facebook or social media. We would be grateful. So at this moment, I'm going to sign off for the evening. We are the Coalition, loud and proud, outrage porn-free, civilly disobedient media broadcasting live on the Worldwide Coalition Radio Network at coalitionradionetwork.com, facebook.com/The Coalition Radio on the Mighty Mighty Twitter, at Coalition_radio, and of course the mothership at coalitionradio.us. Take a moment to like us, follow us, subscribe to us. We'd be so grateful. That's it. We're signing off for tonight.